You're tuned in to the world of Tom, where you catch all the facts and stay connected with Tom Lane.
Program.
I know a lot of times.
Me, look at you, you look all cute. The world of Tom's Dearest Things 2020. I'm Tom Lane. Today, I am bringing you some of the best local, small, or Black-owned businesses. Welcome to In the World of Tom's Dearest Things 2021. I'm Tom Lane. This holiday segment is to feature small, local, or Black-owned businesses. If you would like to participate in the World of Tom's Dearest Things, feel free to email intomsworld19@gmail.com. I will post that in the description box as well, so don't worry about that. But if you decide to email me, be sure to email your owner's name, location, and holiday specials. And we are asking that participating businesses donate at least one item to giveaway. I have my best friend, Lekeiven Burrow of Sikeston, Missouri. Hey, how are you?
I'm good, Tom.
Hey, I got my man. I got my friend. He gonna kill me. So tonight, I have my friend here. And we're going to talk about his upcoming projects. He is also a business owner. So I got a few questions for that. But in the meantime, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, my name is Lekeiven, and I am a resident of Sikeston, born and raised. I am 29 years old. And as Tom mentioned, we are best friends. And she's invited me on today to talk about a few upcoming projects that I have for 2022. And the first being is my book, The Accounts of Life. It's basically my life story, talking about the trauma that I've experienced all the way from my very first memory up until earlier this year. My journey through end-stage kidney failure and how COVID-19 affected my life, and even my journey as living as a homosexual man for 11 years, and then turning my life over to Christ, and now going through a journey to let him cleanse my heart.
I'm extremely excited, and I know that you are a business owner. And that
Yes.
you have many other things and plans, that you have coming up. But what are your plans for the new year?
For the new year, I have a couple things that I'm really focused on. The first being is the release of the book, The Accounts of Life, and then second, I'm also going to be ordained as a minister. So that will be later on this year. I'm very excited about those two because those both have meshed together to be a part of my ministry.
Are you afraid? Are you scared to go from being homosexual to now jumping into the church? Are you afraid of any backlash?
I'm used to backlash, so I can't say that I'm afraid. I know it's coming in a more prominent way because I've already experienced it over the years, which is also mentioned in the book. It's a difficult thing to put yourself in the forefront when you live an open gay lifestyle, but also are active in the church. A lot of people don't understand how those two can go together, but I'm a living witness that, lets people know that, hey, just because you choose a certain way of living doesn't mean that you have to negate your relationship with God.
Right.
You don't have to get rid of God because you live a certain way, but there is a catch to it. Which is why I'm allowing God to cleanse my heart, because before I knew that I was broken the way that I was, it caused me to make a lot of decisions in the homosexual lifestyle.
Right. What kind of support do you have with telling your story? I mean, like as far as family, your own pastor.
Oh, my own pastor is awesome. He is my grandfather, Nathaniel Green. I've been a member of his church since I was born. I was born and raised in the church of his New Life, New Beginning in Sikeston. You can visit us at 508 East Center Street, Sikeston, Missouri. My first lady, who is also my grandmother, is awesome as well. My parents, my sister, my brothers, my church members, cousins, you name it. I'm lucky to have the support that I do. Even when I first came out in 2011, I had a little bit of backlash, but for the most part, my family support system was very strong and has remained that way since.
I'm really happy to hear that your own pastor and your family, really
Yes.
support you taking this journey. Um, and it feels even better to hear that you are comfortable enough to do so, that you're not worried about backlash or what others have to say, when I'm talking about just general people outside of your
Mhm.
family. So
Yeah.
I feel good.
Um, you've been there. You've been there firsthand, since
Hmm.
we were teenagers.
Yeah,
We breaking our friendship for years, and we came back like nothing ever happened.
yeah.
And we had that conversation. And I remember your response was as warm and welcoming as you've always been to me. So thank you for being there for me.
You're welcome. And if you don't mind me sharing this, can we have
Yeah.
a truth moment? Can we have some transparency?
Yes.
So I remember being, I want to say like a freshman in college. We
Mhm.
hadn't talked for like maybe, it felt like maybe a year. I think you had moved or something, but it was like we hadn't talked for a while.
Yeah.
But when I finally got in touch with you, and maybe it wasn't even a freshman, but don't you remember when I finally got in touch with you? It was like your voice had changed. And I
Yeah.
don't know if you were going through a change, but your
Mhm.
voice were like, it wasn't even so much that it was feminine, but it
Mhm.
was high pitched. You were not who you sounded like. And I was like, this is not Lekeiven. Lekeiven, you don't talk like this. What? What is this? And you was like, yeah. I I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But you did. Yeah. Like, and of course I didn't see
Right.
you. Of course I didn't see you, but I can only imagine. You was like, yeah.
I'm sorry. I laugh.
But I mean, I did. I was shocked and I was definitely taken
Mhm.
back because it took a long time, you know, regarding the way I grew up. I mean, we all grew up in Sikeston, very small town, but different pastors, different upbringing
Yeah.
in religion and in the word. So
Right.
I knew what I had been taught and I knew what was wrong and what was right. So I just was confused and I don't know, I didn't accept it then. But as I
Mhm.
grew older, of course, and as I went through my own life experiences
Yeah.
and knowing that I do absolutely love you, and you are my best friend. You know what I mean? I knew that I what? Like I could never treat you any different. Like you had to.
Right.
I had to get with it. Like I ain't care what you love. I love it. It is what it is. If you gonna
Yeah.
figure it out and we gonna repent together, it is what it is.
Mhm.
I'm willing to do that. So, and then
Yeah.
my mama had plenty of gay male friends.
Mhm.
So
Good.
and she stayed on top of me about that. So
Mhm.
yeah. And speaking of my mom, can we get a little read of your book, please? I
Yes.
mean,
Yes.
yeah. This is
I have
my
a section here. I
favorite.
have this section here from my book. It's basically talking about the experience of Mama Lisa. And I'll begin by saying, where do I begin? As I look at the Christmas tree that's up in my home, I think of the tree that was decorated for the last time at Mama Lisa's house. My best friend was pregnant with her first child. We were visiting her mom. Back when I was preteen, I dated my best friend twice. We were a hot mess, and her mom called us that often. We wore pastel pink and green to a junior high dance one year, and the whole school talked about it for weeks. We burned each other's CDs and gave them to each other at school. We'd dance under the stars and drink tea in the back of a pickup truck. We'd even sneak to have a private moment that usually ended up in clothes burning. We were bad. Her mom, Mama Lisa, taught me how to make lemon cake, a virgin pina colada. We watched nature shows and documentaries together all the time. It was our thing, and I loved her dearly. Over time, she became a second mom to me, and our relationship blossomed without my best friend. I had a small piece of her all to myself, and it was beautiful. She developed illness throughout her life, and it took a major toll on her as time went on. Whenever me and my best friend would go home to visit, We'd always go home to see her. Chores were done, food was cooked, trash was taken out, errands ran. We had fun doing it. And we didn't want to do everything all the time, of course. What child does? So we mumbled and we complained. And we got it done. And every time she'd know that we were talking crap on the other side of the wall. Man, I really do miss her. The day the Christmas tree was completed, my best friend was supposed to help me, but I ended up doing it all alone. I started to sweat, reaching for the top of the tree. It's all good. Mama Lisa and her mother and her sisters came over and pulled out the family photos and turned on the carols. The whole scene was very picturesque. Bestie on the couch, a few months pregnant. Mama Lisa at the table with her family going through memories. Small cousins running around back and forth. Me finishing off the tree. It's exactly what she wanted. It was all for her first grandbaby. So we went back home to St. Louis and my bestie had to go back to work. So did I. I received a text from her saying, Mama's back in the hospital. I'll keep you updated. This time it felt serious. So I stepped away to call her and to find out more. And after our conversation began, I began to worry, but didn't mention it. I didn't want to scare my best friend, but I could feel it in my soul. Something wasn't right. So a few days went by and she texted me again, letting me know that she was released, but now back in the hospital all over again. And I decided to get back to her. I felt I needed to be there. I spent as much time as I could with her at the hospital, praying and hoping her mom would recover. We ate, we laughed, we cried, we prayed, we sat, and we waited. We joked about how my bestie would get on to her mom about keeping medical secrets once they were home. She planned on giving her mom a loving piece of her mind, hopeful and eager to carry on life as usual. Christmas Eve. Early that morning, she FaceTimed me and told me I needed to get there fast. I wasted no time and sped through the winter weather to get to my best friend. And upon my arrival, the family was in a small room off to the entrance of the patient area. And I was there. It was greeted by broken spirits and tears on everyone's faces. My best friend was sitting in a chair, her aunt leaning into me saying, all she wants is you. So she nudged to me to go over to her. And once I collected myself, I pulled extra strength out of my belly and I grabbed my friend's hand and I looked her in the eyes and told her, we got this. She looked at me in my soul and agreed as she dropped her head and began to weep. Hearing her cry and the way she did broke me. I felt like glass and at any moment I was going to shatter. But I didn't. Not that day. I needed to be there for her and to help her carry out this. They tried reviving her several times, but it ended up causing more damage than good. So we had to let her go. That walk down the hallway to the room was the longest one ever. My best friend literally collapsed in my arms and in her godfather's arms. We lifted her and helped her walk, being persistent so she wouldn't miss that moment. We finally made it to the room, and there were the wires coming from everywhere. She was dressed in a hospital robe, under a white blanket, laying there perfectly still and brain dead. I had to walk out of the room when my best friend threw herself on top of her mother. She apologized for everything she did and didn't do in her life. She cried, and it felt like my heart was going to stop beating. This was truly overwhelming. Her aunt collapsed in my arms, and the prayers began. And as the prayers began to be spoken over her soul, the doctors and nurses were unplugging her from the machines. We all watched and cried as we said our goodbyes. And I still remember the sound of my best friend's cry as her mother took her last breath. I'll never forget it. The funeral planning had everyone on edge, and it even put wedges in some relationships. The stress of this time was unimaginable. And at the funeral home is where I said my final goodbye. I viewed her body in the back room as she laid there under that blue tarp. Her skin was pale and ashy in appearance. Her face and hands were swollen. almost to the point she looked like someone else. I stood there, staring at her for a few moments, capturing this moment in my mind. My family was very considerate and sympathetic to my loss. They understood that it was my best friend's mother, but I was suffering too. My mom, dad, sister, other best friends, co-workers, grandparents, everybody showed me an abundant amount of love. I really appreciated that, and I hold that dear to my heart. They included me in the family and took me in like Mama Lisa did. They embraced her spirit of love and inclusion concerning me, and it meant the entire world. At the funeral, I sat and remembered the life she lived, the way she loved, how she brought up her daughter to fight and be strong. I watched as my best friend smiled and hugged necks of people who came to support her mother's celebration of life. I was amazed at the strength she showed, because if I were in her shoes, I don't know how well I would be able to conduct myself. She participated in the service as if she was numb, and it worried me. I saw her cry with no one else when no one else did. I saw her fall apart when it was just us. I witnessed her begging God to give her relief and to take the weight of the loss away. So to see her flow so well as we sat around and mourned a precious life made me scared. I felt it was my job to help carry this load for her, and that's exactly what I did. Once the funeral was over and the commotion died down, that's when it really started to hit my friend and me. There wasn't a day that went by that I didn't find my way to be in the same room as her. I dedicated that time of my life to being a friend to her like none other. She wasn't worried about me spending money or trying to impress her with gifts or flowers. She wanted a distraction from the pain of losing her mother. She needed to find her way to keep living, a way to not check out and give up on life. She needed a friend, her brother. I did all I could within my power to keep her sane and safe. Our bond, of course, grew deeper and thicker, and I'm so happy I had the opportunity to know her mom, but even more happy that I could be a friend to her child when she needed me the most. Today, she's found ways to live and keep going, and that brings me much joy. Her daughter is the glue that holds her together, and God is truly doing a work in her, and I am loving every second of it.
Beautiful. I'm trying not to cry, but I already did.
Go ahead.
Mm-mm.
It's okay.
It's just that, first of all, great, 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 great job. Great
Thank you.
job because um, you just give a perspective of the entire situation. And I don't know if you remember, but at one point I felt like when I told anyone the way that things went, who would care? You know, everybody then lost a mom or lost somebody, right?
I remember.
But this the first time that, you know, it's being made clear as to why I do what I do. I push myself and I'm I don't know. I guess when people say it's fake and I'm putting on a facade and I'm but it's only diving into something to take my mind off of what hurts the worst. You know,
Right.
it's hard living this life without my best friend, without my person. You know, I have my daddy and I love him and I thank him for everything he's done for me, but he wasn't my mom and we
Right.
didn't have a relationship.
Yes.
And I miss her every day. But thanks be to God, I have strength. Do I have work? Yeah, I got a lot of work to do, but I'm
But you're
working on
doing a phenomenal job.
it. Thank you.
You really are.
Thank you.
And I'll take this time to give you your accolades because, as I said, if I was in your shoes, I just honestly don't know what I would be doing, how I would respond. It just is too much to even think about.
Right.
So my hat is off to you for
Thank
your strength and to keep going like you do and to smile.
you.
People don't understand how big that is to even smile when you hurt the way you hurt.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot
It
to
does.
just smile.
Mm-hmm.
So every time you smile, I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. So let's change. Let's switch off on accolades.
Mhm.
Um, and this will also lead into my next thing. But
Mhm.
I also want to say hats off to you for battling your journey, your health journey, the way you have. And
Thank you.
as soon as I get to talking about it, I get emotional.
It's okay.
For those who don't know, this is my best friend. And he had came so close to not being here for 2021. And after hearing what he stood there and went through with me, I couldn't imagine being at his funeral. I don't want it because I would just be peeling back a scab and going right back through what I've already been through. And it's hard. So the fight that you have put up, the encouragement, whether you're encouraging yourself or whether you're encouraging someone else, hats off to you. I am proud of you. Thank you for doing all that you can to stay here for whatever reason, because we know those who were close to my mom, y'all know that she had already visited God more than one time, and her last time was her last time, and she said it was going to be her last time.
Mhm.
And she wanted to go. And it
Yeah,
wasn't a suicide mission, but she was okay with going.
right.
And I'm just happy and elated that you're still here. And,
Mhm.
and I know it sounds selfish for some of you all that are tuning in right now, but I'm a selfish person and I'm learning. I'm learning to accept the inevitable. But I thank God every day. And the closer that I walk with God and the closer I'm trying to get to God, I'm realizing that I am very blessed. I'm very blessed to have you. And I have you as a friend. I have you as a brother. I have you as a protector.
Mhm.
And I love you so much. I
I
really
love
do. I just appreciate you.
I love you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. My next question. Please tell us more about your health journey and what it is that you're battling with. A lot of people have questions, but we don't know. You know.
Gotcha. My health journey started in 2010. In 2010, I was diagnosed with a pituitary brain tumor that affects my major hormone glands. It depleted my testosterone and elevated my prolactin, which is basically, in layman's terms, it makes me super tired. I was actually diagnosed with andropause, which is the male version of menopause, at just 19 years old. And that was due to my testosterone being depleted. I also have type 2 diabetes. And more recently, COVID-19 attacked my body last year. When I contracted COVID-19, it shut down my kidneys because I had pre existing conditions, things going on in my body. It made it very easy for my immune system to be attacked, not only with COVID, but also a staph infection. I was admitted into the hospital and I was there for 24 days. The doctors kept coming in telling me that they're doing everything that they can to keep me alive. And basically, they were just telling me to hold on. They were trying to figure out what was going on. How did the staph infection start? Where did the kidney failure come from? And it all traced back to COVID. Um, when they told me that I had kidney failure, it was like a blow to my chest. I remember calling my mom and telling her, and when I spoke those words, kidney failure, I broke down. I started to cry, and I just thought, not again. God, I don't need anything else to beat my body up. I'm already tired. But I knew that I couldn't die. Although my body was shutting down and I was septic and my organs started to fail and they couldn't figure out how to stop the infections. And again, they kept saying, we're doing everything we can. I knew I had to live. So I turned on my gospel music every single day and I worshiped and I prayed and I gave myself over to God, whether I lived or died in that moment. And I told God, my heart belongs to you. And whatever you do with my heart, it is yours for the taking. And I knew within myself that if I lived, I was going to really have to get myself together and to deal with a bunch of hurt and trauma and everything that I wasn't dealing with that caused me to make poor decisions in my life concerning homosexuality. I truly believe that God had to put me on my back to save my life because I was out here living a life that I was big and bad enough to live. I knew that there would be consequences, but I thought about those later. I knew that I was going to have to answer to God and there was going to be judgment, but I thought about that later. So I really believe that God struck my body and he had to just, hey, this is your wake up call. And a lot of people say, God doesn't do those type of things, but I believe that in our individual walks with God, he'll do what he has to do in order to save your soul. You can run, but you can't hide. He'll leave the 99 to come get you. And how he'll come get you is in his sovereignty, in his power, in his grace. And he loved me enough to save me.
Yeah.
He had to send me to the hospital to get my attention. He had to isolate me in my body and put me in a position where I couldn't run, I couldn't hide, and I couldn't make any other decision but to love him and to seek him. And it's been a year now since I've been on dialysis 4 times weekly. I have the surgical scars here. I'm not sure if you can see them, but they go up my arm all the way, 17 gauge needles, 2 in the arm at a time. My sister's my care partner. She's helping keep me alive. It's a very stressful journey. I know. I'm so grateful.
Shout out to Lily, Brianna.
Yes.
Shout out to Mrs. Tyler. Shout out to her. Shout out.
She is amazing.
Shout out to Miss Dana.
Yes.
I'm going to call everybody. Shout out to Miss Dana, Mr. Stanley, Lily, Ashton, Tay-Bay. We love y'all.
Yes. All of my best friends. Christina, CJ, Keisha, you. Yes. Tara, everybody. But it's been a journey. It's humbled me.
Yeah.
My sickness has made me feel this small. And it's a beautiful thing because now I know I have a purpose to live, but I had to almost die to get there. I had to be reborn,
Yeah, that is so
and
deep.
I'm grateful that God loved me enough to put me in a hospital, because if I would have died last year, I would have went to hell. I would have went to hell. And I'm not perfect. I'm struggling with areas in my life, things out of habit, things that are comfortable, things that are uncomfortable. But I guarantee that if I were to die tonight, I wouldn't have any worries, because every day I'm putting my best foot forward and I'm trusting God and I'm letting him do what he wants to do in me. Not trying to be perfect, but trying to be a servant.
Trying to be better.
I'm grateful in a way. It's humbling. It's hard. It's very stressful. I feel overwhelmed a lot. Sometimes naturally just the human part of me wants to give up, but it's not for me. I have a purpose. It's a part of my ministry. And this is something that I have to do before my work on earth is done.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, I remember coming across a video where a speaker was saying that, when you are not ready to die, that means you have not fulfilled your assignment that God has sent you for. So you are not done. You know what I mean? So yeah, so stick with it. I'm proud of you. But if anyone doesn't know, Lekeiven does have a blog called Heavyweight Confessions.
Yes.
And with all the personal stories that you share, what inspired you to really just go for it? Dive in, give us raw, like everything. Ain't nobody talking about when they was homosexual and trying to get right.
Yeah, that's true. And that's why I did it.
Yeah.
That's exactly why I did it, because there's not somebody that I can go to in the church that's open and
Yeah.
exposed enough to be like, hey, I'm not perfect. I've lived this life, but you don't have to. Here's how I made it out. Let me show you.
Yeah.
There's nobody that I can call on that's brave enough to do that. And I use the word brave enough because it's scary. In the church, especially the Black church, homosexuality is like a plague. They know it's there. They understand that it's in the choir, it's on the praise team, it's behind the pulpit, it's in the audience, it's
Mm-hmm.
watching the children,
Yeah.
everything, but nobody's talking about it.
Mm-mm.
Nobody's talking about it. But when they witness something or they see certain behaviors or a certain talk, a certain language, body language, then it becomes an issue. That's what happened to me. And that's what made me want to just give it to the people raw. This is what it is. For 11 years,
Mm-hmm.
I lived open in the church. Started out ashamed, ended up unashamed,
Right.
because my relationship with God didn't change. I don't answer to man, I answer to God.
Amen.
But I was broken again, that which caused me to make poor decisions.
Right.
So now that I'm healing, which is what Heavyweight Confessions is, Heavyweight Ministries is showing the journey of how you can make it out of this situation. How when something so big in your life seems impossible to overcome, take baby steps. These are the baby steps that I took. This is how I did it. Let me show you so that you can go back and show someone else.
I heard what you said, but when you said impossible, I instantly impossible for a man and a pumpkin to become a golden carriage. Impossible. I don't know the words.
I don't
But
know. I'm just seeing Whitney in my head, and she's like,
that's it.
with all that glitter,
Right. Just,
right? All up in my
okay.
eyes and stuff. Like,
That's all I heard when you said impossible.
you know,
I
I
did.
love me some brandy now.
Okay. Hey, Whitney. All right. But we did speak of your family. We did
Yeah.
speak of your support. And speaking of Lily,
Yes,
he's a business owner as well.
she
So
is.
let us know what she has, because actually Lily is involved in Times World's Dearest Thing. So give us a little background,
Yes. Okay. Well, Lily is my sister. She goes by Bree. Her full name is Lily Tyler. You can catch her on Facebook or Instagram as Lily Tyler under Taylor's Way. Taylor's Way is her online boutique where she specializes in plus size clothing, but she has juniors and children's clothes as well. She's wanting Taylor's Way to be a place where women can come for everyday or formal clothes and get something that's beautiful every day of the year. And she wants to be the one to provide that to you. So you guys hit her up at www.taylorway.com.
Yes, and be sure to do that and follow her on all social media.
Yes.
And be sure to check her out and buy any of your last minute holiday shopping needs. This
Yes.
is the whole
Exactly.
point of Times World's Dearest Things. So, is there any advice that you would like to give right now for those that may be tuning in and may need a little bit of encouragement? They may be coming out or going back in the closet. So, you never know.
Yes. The advice that I would give is just to be honest with yourself. The best thing that you can do for yourself is to practice honesty. Being afraid is okay, but being crippled by fear is not okay. because everybody is afraid of something. So don't let anybody ever cripple you with the fact that you're not perfect, or that you lack something, or you're different, or you speak different, look different, live a different lifestyle, anything, because we're all battling something. It doesn't have to be homosexuality. It doesn't have to be lust. It doesn't have to be trauma. It can be anything from the smallest to the biggest thing, but we're all battling something. So practice being kind and practice being honest. Honesty with yourself so you can be honest with the world. I promise you it'll make your life a whole lot easier.
Well, that's it for In the World of Tom. I want to thank my best friend, Lekeiven, for taking his time out to sit down with me to give us a little bit of his new book that is coming out in 2022. So please, everyone, be looking forward to that. We will be giving more information as it comes to us. And we might be having him back to give us more about the book and what else he's doing in the new year. Also, be sure that if you are still wanting to join Tom's Worlds, there is things that you do email me at intomsworld19@gmail.com. And if you missed that, just know it's going to be in the description box because I messed it up. And when you do email me, be sure to send your logo, graphic, your owner's information, location, and any holiday specials that you may have right now, and how we can go about purchasing that. And we are also asking that the participating businesses donate at least one item for giveaway. You can follow Lekeiven and Heavyweight Confessions on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram. He also has a TikTok, so you will want to check that out as well. And remember to pass on the word. Y'all be good and happy holidays.
Hi, I'm Chaz, a candle maker out of Jacksonville, Florida. I specialize in all things smokeless, so candles, incense, room sprays. All of the products can be found online at littlesuncandle.com or on social media at LITTLESUNCANDLE.
Tom Lane here. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe to this channel. Also, slap on that notification bell so that way you are the first to know when I post new content. Thumbs up your favorite and pass on the word.
Every Thursday with Tom